Hey guys, Geek Gab here. So I thought I'd crank out at least a couple videos just to try to get back into the swing of uploading, just to try to make up for this sporadic schedule lately. Um, anyway, so I already did a video on Ironheart. Just stuff I knew about it because of the trailers. What did I hope to see from it? Yada yada yada, all that such. Well, now that I've actually watched the deep fried dumpster fire, I'm gonna be saying my thoughts on it. Now, this is your only chance for leaving the video in case you haven't watched it yet and you want to avoid spoilers. So, there you go. Okay, so here's the thing. It wasn't a bad show. It was good. It was okay, not great. But okay, here we go. So her original suit, when she basically escapes her college, looked amazing. I know a lot of people have been super critical over every suit she's made, unfairly so, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Now, in the college scene, I will admit I was kind of conflicted. Like I know like who to side with here, so I'll just play both sides. Neutral party. So I feel like Riri's motives for building the Iron Man suit, building her own equivalent, was kind of weird. Because in the comics, it's usually either because it's something to strive toward, but also because she idolizes him and stuff like that. But in the series, she just says because I could, or because it's undeniable, iconic. Like don't get me wrong, there's obviously plenty of reasons for anyone to build their own Iron Man suit. I just feel like for a badass, boss bitch kind of, character like Ironheart, who's done a lot of awesome stuff in the comics, they could have done better with her motives. Now, she also said some things that I personally don't agree with. Like, for example, do you really think Iron Man would be Iron Man if he wasn't rich? Yeah, here's the thing. There's a big difference between being rich and being resourceful. Because a good genius, like Tony, comes like once in a lifetime, once in a generation, right? He's Tony Stark because he's Tony Stark. He's Tony Stark because he's resourceful, because he's clever, he's crafty. He'll use whatever he's got on hand or can get access to. I mean, hell, in Iron Man 3 alone, he basically dropped an entire crew of armed people with just weapons he could scrounge together from a hardware store. And and in the original Iron Man movie, where her argument comes from, basically an argument that a lot of us make, against Ironheart is Tony Stark, made the Iron Man suit in a cave with a box of scraps. Okay, now with proper context, that box of scraps mostly came from his own technology and parts that were stolen by terrorists. Now, that is important context because technically it wasn't just a sort of scraps like from a junkyard full of tetanus and other diseases. Sure, it came from his own tech, but it was still scraps. You couldn't do much with it if you were a normal person. But because Tony Stark was Tony Stark, he made an entire mech suit out of it. Now, sure, it was his first time building something like that, and it was really only a temporary thing to get him free, but still, it's necessary to understand that context before we move on. Now, here's the thing. There's also another thing to consider that I didn't really want to address because it's a sensitive topic, but Ironheart, statistically, she unfortunately has the deck stacked against her due to her racial persuasion, her skin color, which is unfortunate because, just any kid should be able to have, the opportunities to succeed, I mean, from the minute you're a kid, you basically have unlimited potential, but, depending on your different circumstances, you could end up in a bad situation. But anyway, we're not getting into a TED Talk rant here. But I do think that her argument of Tony Stark wouldn't be who he is today without money not only makes him sound, useless without his money, but also seriously underestimates Tony being resourceful and being who he is. Sure, him having money and resources is a big factor that helps him, but he's also very, very powerful because he's resourceful with being able to use whatever he has on hand or whatever he can gain access to. Now, I also think that the college dean, that nice lady that was talking to her, she had confusing arguments. Like in Iron Man 2, the first thing they show is that various countries are all trying to build this, the basic concept of the Iron Man suit, a mechanized armor weapon suit, and are failing horribly. And yet, this teen girl who's about college age has single-handedly managed to not only build a vibranium detector, not only managed to build a streamlined, not clunky, fully functioning prototype Iron Man suit, but you're telling me you want to just let her go. Like, don't get me wrong. I know she's caused a lot of accidents at her college and that she's done a lot of morally gray things, like helping people cheat by building stuff for them. But I feel like, letting that person go so she could potentially go to competing colleges is kind of a big mistake. So she said, MIT has zero tolerance for plagiarism. Plus, she said something about, honoring, basically saying bad stuff about Tony Stark's legacy. Like, if anything, I would say this is doing good things for his legacy, because it shows that he's a hero and inspiration to generations and generations. Plus, the world needs a new Iron Man or Ironheart. Now, obviously, the dean had every right to be upset because it was causing, she was causing a lot of trouble around the college. But I still feel like she could have phrased it better, her issues with the suit itself. I don't know. Anywho, I feel like the show was just, I don't know how to really put it. It was kind of rushed. I know it's a 6-episode show, but you know what I mean. I feel like, Pepper Potts could have reached out. Trust me, if someone's building or attempting to build an Iron Man suit, that's going to make news. Like, every news channel is going to be talking about this. Especially when people down in Chicago see someone rocketing around in a college-made Iron Man suit. So, honestly, Pepper Potts, realistically, should have been the first to find out and could have offered her a scholarship and full funding to continue building it under her supervision. Now, I will admit, the show was awesome, and seeing that that one girl in the candy shop doing magic, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but seeing her do magic was pretty cool. Definitely hope to see more of her in the future. But I also feel like they just kind of left a lot of things unexplained. Like for example, at the end when Riri made a deal with Mephisto or Mephistopheles, it was just so confusing. Like, what exactly did she wish for? What did she give up? And all of a sudden, one minute she's got those cornrows in, but then the next minute she's got a full afro, and all of a sudden Natalie's back. It just they don't explain anything. And when I tried looking it up, some people said that it could have been like an alternate universe, like Riri was just sent to an alternate timeline or something where she never lost Natalie. But just, again, it left like a lot of questions unanswered. And honestly, like the way it makes it look is that this entire series was basically pointless. Like it never even had to happen. Because it's like everything in the MCU always has lasting consequences. The Celestial Hand rising up out of the sea, that gave birth to adamantium. It introduced it into the MCU world. Captain America showing up, that had consequences. Thanos showing up, snapping away half of all life in the universe, that had lasting consequences that will last forever. But then Ironheart happens, and then it basically none of that happened. Like, it's just so confusing. Anyway, like I said, good, okay show. Had some good parts and some bad parts, but not great. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoy.